Call yourself the host when you introduce yourself.
All right, welcome to the first HD Riders podcast. Today we have Rylan, Connor, Braden, and me, Cole. I'm going to be the one asking questions today. Actually, we have a hot seat today, and that's going to be Braden. So we don't really know what he's going to get into yet, but it should be a good time.
Sure, it'll be great.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be pretty impressive to see. All right, so you guys might want to know why we're called the HD Riders. So can you go ahead and explain that?
It's called HC Riders because we ride four-wheelers, dirt bikes, and all the other fun toys in Henry County.
Yep. And we're also in the group. We kind of call ourselves the River Runners. It's kind of like an inside joke, I guess you could say, because there's a river that runs through Henry County that we all live by, and we've gotten to a couple chases, and we've ran from some cops on that river, so that's kind of where that name comes from. But so yeah, so we have some questions we're going to be asking today, and we're all going to be answering. So our first questions are going to be for Rylan. Actually, he's on the end. So Rylan, how long have you been riding?
Oh, I'd say I've been riding for anywhere from 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. How'd you start?
I started from riding with you actually. I came over to your house one time and we rode the 300 in the Rancher and I ended up buying the 300 off you.
Yeah.
I got a hell of a deal on it too.
Yeah, this motherfucker scammed me. I sold him like a mint, like 90s Honda 300. And
500 bucks.
If you don't know what that is, like, that's like one of the most sought after four-wheelers. I didn't really know what I had at the time. My grandpa just gave it to me. And I wanted like a little dirt bike, so I ended up selling him this like literally mint Honda 300 for $500. And yeah, I guess it kind of worked out for both of us though, because I got a dirt bike and he ended up getting into riding because of that four-wheeler.
Yep.
But
Well, it was meant other than your incident with the frame. I almost bought that.
yeah, the frame was bent. So I guess like you can't really call something of a bent frame mint, but it was kind of mint though.
It was definitely meant compared to what it is now.
Yeah, it's about the most.
now.
Rylan lives on a farm, so this guy doesn't maintain shit unless it's farm equipment. So like,
I maintain it, it just doesn't get used very lightly.
yeah, like this four-wheeler is kind of clapped out now. Like it was frozen in place for like a year, and we ended up having to lift it up on its ass end and hit the front end with the sledgehammer right on the hubs to break the rust out of the hubs and the brakes. But it worked though, so she moves again. Alright, so next question, we're gonna actually just go down the line. We have 2 questions for each person, but Connor, how long have you been riding for?
Well, since I was about 3, I'd say, so 12 years probably. Started out on an electric quad and moved up to the KFX 50.
Yeah, so we've all kind of been riding for a long time.
Just ran to the Kawasaki lineup with the TRX 250 that he has now.
Hey, and by the way, that four-wheeler is also completely clapped out. So,
No.
It still runs excellent.
this is another case.
It's just been used.
This is another case of Rylan's
Being
family
full-
receiving
full
something very
use.
nice and absolutely clapping it up. But-
I wouldn't say it's clapped, it's just been.
No,
it's
it's
been used.
yeah.
Just say
Everybody's four-wheeler we're gonna call clap. 250 is clap.
And then
Fair enough.
moved up and went through 2 more 250s actually, and then went to the 400 I've got now, and now might possibly get a dirt bike.
Yep, big moves, big moves. All right, Brady. Same question for you.
I've been riding since I was about 4, and I first started out on a Raptor 50. And I moved up. After, I had the Raptor 50 for a while, and then I kept speeding on it. And my dad sold it. And then I recently just sold a 2019 250EX for the 2021 Suzuki 250.
Now that we're on that topic, why don't you explain what that is and why you bought it?
I bought it, and it's a Suzuki 250F. It's a race bike. I got a really good deal on it, and I got it because I'm going to start racing with my friends.
So let's kind of touch on the topic here of how a 13-year-old who has never worked a day in his life bought a 2021 dirt bike.
Well, I sold a 2014 KLX 140. And after that, I sold my 2019 250 EX.
And that profited into him buying a badass dirt bike. That's pretty cool for him to get it. Alright, so moving on to our next question here. Alright, we're going back. We're going to go back in the line. So we're going to ask Connor here. Alright, Connor. So, if you were to be hanging out and you had to choose friends or girlfriend, which one would you pick?
Well, depends on what's going on. If we're riding, I'd probably pick friends. Or if it's a planned thing with the girlfriend, gotta go to that. Just hanging out, especially when they're gonna be there when you get back home. Just go hang out with the girlfriend and get a little bit of best of both worlds.
Yeah, I respect that. Connor's actually the only one with a girlfriend in the group. I did have one, but not anymore. Not anymore. Alright, Ryan. Now to you. If you were to be chilling, had to pick something to go do. You gotta go farm some fields or go ride. Go pick.
That's a good question.
That is a very good question, sir. If we're road riding, I'd probably pick riding.
This guy is a massive road rider.
But if we were mudding and stuff, I'd ride it to the farm.
Yeah.
I love riding roads. I like to go fast.
But he has his license. But we'll all still pick riding our quads on the road over anything else. Good time.
Especially one of the riders that'll be a guest member here soon. And hey,
Yeah, we actually have two more members of our group. Carter, unfortunately, his mom came down with the Joe Biden disease, so he couldn't be here. Then we have another member of our group, David Davis. Me and him actually have work.
just taken.
Me and him actually have work in the morning, so he couldn't be here. But he'll be on the next podcast. Sure. Same with Carter. His mom, that Biden disease already gone right now, I'm sure. Alright, so now we're gonna go back to Braden with the second question. Do you prefer two or four wheels?
I think I'm switching to two wheels. I don't really like the two wheel.
I'd say you've already split considering
Yeah,
solar units and what it is.
So everything he's got and invested it into one dirt bike. Clearly he's a big two-wheel guy. Alright, so now we have two questions for me. I'm just gonna ask. How long have I been riding for? Same as the rest of us. I've been riding since I was like 2. My dad bought me a 125 Japanese when I was 3 years old. And then I rode his Honda Rancher 350 that he bought. Actually, the day I was born, he bought it. So I've been riding that my whole life. And then when I was 6, my grandpa gave me the 300 that I ended up selling to Ryland. So I rode that thing hard for a good little bit, and then ended up selling it. And then when I was 7, I think, I bought a Suzuki JR80 little dirt bike, and that I actually blew it up in like a week. So I didn't really like that thing very much. I crashed it hard a couple times and kind of scared of it. So I kind of quit riding after that, I guess. And then when I was like, I still rode like my dad's four-wheel around the farm. But then when I was like 12, I kind of got back into riding a little bit, and then I bought a 400EX. And then I think that actually carries me to my next question. How many different units have I had? It's quite a few. I had a 400EX, had a Raptor 660, I had a Yamaha Blaster 200, and I had like 5 different Japanese four-wheelers. I had a Honda 300, then I had an RMG 250 dirt bike, then I had a CRF 250 RX 2019, then I had a 2019 CRF 250R, then I had another 400EX, and now I have a YZ 125.
I can't forget the LTZ.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about that thing. I had an LTZ 400. So I actually went from, I sold my 2019 250R dirt bike, bought a truck, and then I saved up, bought an LTZ 400. Literally the biggest piece of shit four-wheel I think it's ever invented on the show. Like, this thing was literally garbage. So I sold that, got a nice 400EX, and then sold that and got the YZ 125 that I have now. But Yeah, so I've gone through quite a few different four-wheel stuff. Alright, so now we're going to do our group questions here. Have we ever gotten in trouble for riding? So we'll kind of start out, what was it, 2018 was our first incident on the road? So Taven, our other member, he also was part of this, but so me and Rylan were out riding by my house, riding roads one day, and we came across the DNR police officer. He had Taven pulled over in the ditch. This is kind of before we were even friends with Taven, so we never really talked to him. So we kind of looked shitty, went back the other way, went to Carter's house and hid out for a little bit, and then we ended up coming out of Carter's house, and DNR was waiting on us out there. But you can go ahead and finish that story.
After that, we basically just got a warning, and parents weren't very happy about it, but they weren't mad at us either.
I'd say they kind of found it more funny than
Yeah.
anything else, because they kind of thought, I think that both of our parents kind of thought that was like going to be the end of it, like we were both going to be scared, but
That was just.
I think that kind of sparked us to do it more, honestly, because it kind of adrenaline rush, you know, added a whole other aspect to road riding, because we never thought we'd get caught, or we'd even get in trouble for stuff like that, you know. So that was pretty cool. And then, what's our next incident we had? Was the river the next one?
I don't think any of us have actually been caught since.
No, none of us have actually been caught since then, but we actually, yeah, we have. The biggest one of all. But me, Carter, and Taven have ran from a lot of DNR officers by our house, and we do a lot of really stupid shit, a lot of illegal shit when we're riding, like riding down highways and on private property, which probably shouldn't do that, but kind of worth it though. So, I guess our next big incident was we had the whole group out to the river for the first time, which the river's down by my house, it's a trail. So this was actually Braden's first time, actually kind of riding with the group outside of their property here. So, Connor, you can go ahead and tell this story.
Well, we had rode the gravel pit all day, then finally decided, the gravel pit's a little trail system by his house that we ride on private property. And then we decided that we'd ride the river. We get down it, and we had ran pretty far up it, about 10 miles probably. And
There's a prison on the other side of it.
yeah, there's a prison. We made it all the way to it. Then we were coming back, so one of our friends' bikes was about out of gas. And so as we're almost back, we're sitting at the bridge where it crosses over to the side that we gotta be on. He goes on, just takes off and doesn't stop with the rest of us. So we're sitting there talking, just sitting there, and then about 2 minutes later, he comes hauling back towards us.
Waving his arms, telling us to run.
Yeah, and we're not thinking too much of it. We look behind and there's the old sheriff truck.
Sheriff on his ass.
He was on.
Going down a river trail, so this isn't a road, this is a trail down beside the river. So.
Yep, he had decided that he was going to catch him because he was committed. And so we all started our stuff up and decided we were going to put him on chase. We turned him around and headed toward the nearest edition. It was actually Taven and Carter's edition. And we get about halfway to it and see a little private property drive with a gate opening. We just took off onto that property and hid there, sat for a while, decided we'd wait for the pressure to come off a little bit, and then just took the roads and went back to Cole's house.
Yes.
Went back to riding the rest of the day.
Yeah, so I'd say we kind of got a little lucky in that situation, because we were getting chased by a sheriff truck. So realistically, once we got on the road, we ran 2 miles on the road. He definitely could have caught us, so I think he kind of let out a little bit. Because it kind of got a little scary there for a little bit, but...
2 of us were on the 250EX and one was on a 300.
I don't think anybody was on 300.
I wasn't a part of this.
I was on 350 Ranger. So.
I wasn't a part of
And
this.
there was not two 250s.
Rylan actually was not a part of this. I forgot about that. Bitch boy over here was doing something else and didn't come ride with us that
Probably
day.
farming.
Yeah, farmer boy. He missed out on a good
On
experience.
a great experience.
This was
Yeah,
my first
it
time
was-
ever riding with these
Yeah,
That was
guys.
actually Braden's first and only time getting into a police chase. So, yeah, so that was kind of a different experience. I'd say it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But all right, so now we got our what kind of riding style we all prefer? Do you prefer track, woods, or freestyle or road riding? So me personally, I guess it kind of just depends on what I'm doing. With all these guys, I don't really like riding track because, like, on like a big bike, this isn't even cocky, but like I'm a lot faster than everybody, so it's not a whole lot of fun for me. But like, so I kind of just like just riding whatever, just with the group. How about you, Braden?
Big freestyle guy. I like being able to just jump whatever I see and go from there.
Connor?
Well, I truly prefer woods with slight track in it. Like
Facts.
a little woods course, can't
Yeah.
beat it. Just flying through there, not really knowing. I mean, out in the field you can see every turn.
Like that little trail system we took at Brimstone?
Yes,
That was a good ass
that was
time.
a great trail.
So like a GNCC type deal is what he's talking about.
Yes, with slight hills in it, so there's a little bit of a challenge to it.
Yep.
But you can still haul through there. And
Mhm.
there's something about the woods that adds a little fear aspect to it.
Cause you always can hit that fucking tree.
Yep, you don't know. You don't know when the next turn is,
Yep.
especially when it's a new trail that you haven't rode before.
Facts. Well, what's your opinion on this?
Obviously, like we said before, I'm a big road riding guy, but I'll participate in any other events that you guys are doing. I'm not gonna sit out and be a pussy.
He'll participate in anything if there's a big old hill involved. But he
I'm
doesn't.
not a big fan.
He's not a hill climbing guy, which I kind of respect it. I mean, some people just aren't bred for the hills, you know. Other people bred for the hills, man. All right. So now the next thing is gonna be injuries. I think we've all kind of had some type of injury while riding, even if that's a small one. So Rylan, do you think of any injuries you've had while riding?
Oh, I ran over my leg on a 250. I hit a jump and fell off because there aren't any Nerf bars. It's just got pegs, but I didn't break anything.
Or heel guards for that matter.
Yeah, no
Has-
heel guards.
Not much of anything.
Back to
The
that
250
topic. The 250 is clapped, so obviously it doesn't have any heel guards or anything. But
Also doesn't have brakes.
no brakes,
No
and
brakes.
you don't do
Under
that.
rear.
So.
I got the rear ones.
All right, Connor, how about you?
Well, no, I fortunately haven't ever had really a bad wreck. Laid a few dirt bikes over, but the worst would probably be I was backing out one time of the barn at the old house, and somehow hit the side of a dump truck and caught my thumb in between the throttle and the dump truck. I cut my thumb up pretty good
That's quite
because
the
it pinned the throttle in reverse and just held her there.
That's a pretty good experience to have. Like, Braden, we know you've had your fair share of injuries. Go ahead and explain them a little bit.
Well, I've only had one where I've actually been hurt. I was riding a KLX 140 when it was pretty wet out, and I jumped, and at the face of the jump, the rear wheel slid out from under me, and I had an AC1 joint tear, which is where your shoulder connects, and a minor fracture in my collarbone.
Yep. So, I feel like out of the group, I'm probably have the most injuries riding. Whether that's just from being bad at it or I don't know what the deal is, but when I was 6, I flipped my dad's Honda Ranger 350 down into my pond on top of me and pinned me underwater, about drowned me. So that was I guess I didn't really get hurt from that. And about that same age, I flipped like 4 or 5 different four-wheelers on top of me, and I never really got too hurt from any of that, surprisingly. And then when I got my first dirt bike, I was 5th gear tapped, just absolutely railing my driveway, my gravel driveway, just getting after it. Front end just slid out on me, and I ate shit in the driveway, and I had to go to the hospital and get like a rock. Well, actually, no, I didn't have to go to the hospital, but I had to get like a bunch of rocks removed out of me by my sister, and that was pretty bad. And then I got a Raptor 660. I was trying to be a badass, had my phone recording, and I tried to jump my whole driveway, which I was jumping from like down here and trying to land up here, and I didn't make it, and ended up like falling off the four-wheeler and running my foot over, and it like broke the whole top side of my foot. Like it was a pretty bad break. And then I didn't really have any other good injuries until I got my first dirt bike, which I actually traded the Raptor for.
Well, so-
And on that, I had a couple good concussions. Crashed that bike a lot. This is a good learning bike. I broke a lot of stuff on that bike, like parts wise. Had a few concussions. Probably, I don't think I really broke any like bones or anything riding that. Then I got my next dirt bike, which is a Honda 250 RX, and crashed that and broke my finger, which really wasn't that big of a deal. And then my next bike after that, I actually had a big crash on it, like my first time ever riding it. I actually got knocked out completely and had a minor break in my collarbone, so that was a good one. And then didn't really have any other real bad wrecks on that bike, I don't think. Not that I can think of.
That one was at Durhamtown, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a Durhamtown in Georgia on a big old step up on MX2 if any of you have ever been there. But yeah, so dirt bikes has kind of been the main reason for my crashes, I'd say. Just because that's just part of riding, you know? And then on my 400EX that I had, my most recent bike, I didn't really have any like bad injuries, I'd say. But I looped it out in my front field, in front of my house, and the quad actually hit a tree and bent the frame a little bit, but that hurt pretty bad. But I didn't really get too hurt from that.
Wasn't the wreck out at the farm?
Oh yeah,
Jumping in the creek.
but I didn't really get hurt from that.
Rain.
I mean, I say I probably wrecked the most out of the group, which I don't really know why.
No.
Carter.
Like, well, no.
Carter's more just. I mean, people lay him over a lot.
I just flip a lot of stuff, it seems like. Like I
I flipped
flipped,
my 250 out here.
yeah, I
in the
flipped
creek.
Ryland's 250 out in the creek.
400 over there in the corner.
Yeah, I flipped Connor's. Damn, and then I crashed. Oh yeah, I crashed Brayton's dirt bike like last fucking weekend.
Yeah,
And
the
just
day he
like,
was selling it.
the day he was supposed to sell it, I was ripping on that son of a bitch, and it's actually on our Instagram if you want to see it. It's like second to last post, but front end washed out on me. Didn't really hurt too bad, but it kind of twisted the front end up a little bit. But we got her fixed up and dialed in for him. But I think I've crashed every single person in our group stuff. Cause I've crashed Carter's 90 plenty of times,
You haven't crashed my 400.
but I've crashed her 250. My dad actually was riding Highlands 400, got thrown off of it, got a heavy, like a bad concussion, and bit through his lip. He might have been.
I was not even there that
Yeah,
day.
he wasn't even there because Ryland's four-wheeler spent some good amount of time at my house when I work on it and stuff. But
Basically the shop.
yep.
Working on it.
But yeah, so I flipped Ryland's 250. My dad's flipped his 400. I flipped Connor's 400. I've crashed Braden's dirt bike. I've crashed Carter's 90. Taylor, I've never even rode his shit. Actually, I did a good wheelie on his
Nobody
stuff.
lets him ride his stuff. He's a little overprotective.
Yeah, you gotta be protective over that players, because first ride on that bitch is gonna break. Thing breaks every time he rides it, but that's alright. But yeah, so we've kind of all had our fair share of good crashes, and god damn it. But I'd say so far we've kind of all been pretty fortunate, because as much of the riding we do, none of us have really had any like major injuries. All just small stuff, scratches, bruises, concussions. Alright, how many people are there in the group and who are they? So I think we kind of already went over there, so there's 6. There's me, Braden, Connor, Ryland, Taven Davis, and Carter McGrady. They both aren't here, obviously. We all grew up here in Henry County. Me and Ryland, we've been best friends since we were Ryland was my first best friend since kindergarten. And then me and Connor and Braden, we've all known each other since we were little, playing baseball and stuff.
Yeah, everybody but Taven actually was on the same baseball team.
Yeah, our whole riding group was on the same baseball team. My dad was a
He's
coach
not
of it.
much of a sports guy.
My dad was a coach of it, so he kind of picked all my friends, I guess, or kids at least that he knew. But Taven, obviously, he's not much of a sports guy. But if you ask him, he's really in shape.
Oh, he's in shape.
He's in shape.
No, we're,
If you
we're in
asked
the
Buddy
big
to
old
run
fight.
a 100-meter dash, he'd be gassed at the end of it.
The 570 will get broken out to go 100 feet for sure all day.
Yeah.
But that's just a part of his life, I guess. But so yeah, we've all kind of known each other. Me and Carter, my dad actually grew up with his dad, so we've been friends since we were real little too. Me and Taven have just kind of became friends in the last year or two. We've kind of lived real close to each other our whole lives, so I don't really know why I never hung out with them, but I guess I didn't really know about them. I actually had some serious beef with David for like a year. Like I hated him because I always blamed him for me and Ryan getting pulled over because he didn't tell us. Like he just let us come. But it turns out that he had no way to contact us anyway. But I always kind of had beef with him for that. But I guess it doesn't really matter. All right, so you can pick if you can pick one thing: a sport quad, a utility, or a dirt bike. That's all you can ride the rest of your life. What are you picking? Starting with you, Ryan.
Sport quad without a doubt.
What kind of sport quad?
I've always wanted to get a 450.
A Yamaha.
450 EX.
Any brand specific?
Honda, preferably.
Big Honda guy.
I won't run anything else.
How about you, Connor?
Well, I mean, I like the sound of a dirt bike, but riding one, I think it'd be fun. But I've just never really been good on one, so I'd go with a sport quad.
Yeah. Brady?
I think I would like a Yamaha 250 4-stroke
Dirt bike?
dirt bike.
Yeah. As much as I like the sport quads, like I've had my fair share of them. Same with dirt bikes. I feel like it's kind of an oddball answer here, but if I was gonna pick something to have the rest of my life and like that's all I can ride, I'd pick utility. Honestly, I feel like that's the most versatile thing. I mean, they're not as fun, but I mean, if you got a big powered one like a Sportsman 850 or Can-Am Outlander 850 or 1000 even, I mean, you can do wheelies and do all that kind of stuff, but you can also go to Tennessee and be capable on the trails, you know. I really enjoy riding utilities down in Tennessee. It's a good time. But I don't know. I'd probably go with like a Sportsman 850 or Sportsman 1000, or maybe even a Scrambler. Does that consider utility?
I would consider it a utility probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not a motocross bike.
They have a sport.
Yeah, and you can even race utilities in a GNCC, so that'd be a good time.
Yeah, if we're adding scramblers into the utility section of things, I think I'd probably go with utility actually.
Yeah. I mean, versatile.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want on them.
So with the sports quad, you just struggle at times to keep up with the razors on all the trails out in Brimstone. You can climb the hills with them, but when they get the big rocks, it's just hard to get the ground clearance.
Yep. You don't have those front wheels pulling you up over stuff. Yeah. So I feel like we're all kind of on the similar pages on that topic, but I think Rylan doesn't really understand the road riding capabilities of a Scrambler 1000, but if he did, I'm sure that'd kind of be his choice. But Braden kind of seems like he's transitioning into a straight up dirt biker, but I'll have to burn blast him this year and show him who's the real dirt biker of the group, I guess. But yeah, so that's all for our questions today. Anybody else have anything they want to add to the group? First podcast, I'd say pretty good time. Our next one, we're gonna have hopefully both of our other members, if not just one of them.
We'd probably put that dirt bike crash at the end.
Yeah, if we can figure out how to do it, we'll add a video to the end of this, but I'd say there's a 95% chance that won't be happening. But yeah, if you guys watched this, thank you for watching it. If you watched it all the way through, that's pretty damn cool. So I'd say thank you guys for watching.
Yep, thank you.
And that's the HC Riders for you. Have a good one.
Sweet.